let's call the meeting to order for Tuesday, October 15, 2024 at 9:07. All right, approval of minutes for Tuesday, September 17, 2024.
Okay, that I did have a comment on. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's pretty minor, but if you look at last month's two approvals on Croft and Lear, and you look at the motion section, it says something like, I can't remember who it was. One of us moved to approve the relief, and it says as it was sewer, which is a little confusing. Both of those should probably say as it did not impact the sewer or did not enter the sewer.
Okay, that was Steve.
Enter the sewer.
I seconded.
Thank you, Doug.
Oh, I didn't say.
It's a wrong terminology, right?
Yeah, I didn't remember
Okay,
saying it was sewer.
Do I
Yeah,
have
okay,
a motion to approve the minutes as amendment, as amended?
I move to approve as amended.
I have a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Motion has been approved. Okay, any discussion? No? All right, let's move on to action item. Public comment, sorry. Yes, come on.
And Siebert Orman, PO Box 778 Cannon Beach. I just want to say thank you for being able to have Daniel here today. It's great. And also, I just wondered about a bridge update if there is one.
You'll get the bridge update today.
And I'm terribly sorry about your trip. I just.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to action items.
We have,
We don't have.
We
We have one
got somebody
person
else online here. Hang on.
Anita, did you raise your hand?
Anita, are you there? Can you
She
hear?
doesn't have her hand rose, but I just wanted to give her an opportunity. Oh, she does. Hold on.
There she did.
Okay,
Go ahead, Anita.
There, you unmuted me. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just had a question regarding the project that's going to be taking place on Ocean Avenue from Washington to Harrison. And I wondered if there had been any discussion or plans on paving Ocean Avenue. And I'll just say that I am extremely opposed to any paving along that street. I know that there was a comment by Councilor Hayes about dodging cars and dust on his shoes, and I walk that road every day and don't really encounter those issues. So I thought I would come to a Public Works meeting and just find out if there are any plans to pave Ocean Avenue with this project.
Anita, can you do me a favor and state your address?
Yes, P.O. Box, Anita Duber, P.O. Box 694, Cannon Beach.
Thank you so much. Okay, Karen, take it away.
I'll address that in the project update.
Okay, yes, we will address that during project updates in just a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, we do not have utility reliefs. It doesn't look like we have anything. So water report with Daniel. Sure.
Right, so I'm here to answer questions. So what questions do you have?
So I think last month, what Jan was wanting to get some reassurance on is the demand versus our capacity. And the rainfall, she was getting input from various sources, and Jan, jump in if I misstate something here, that our rainfall was down from previous years, which she was concerned about our creeks becoming lower capacity or our water, our springs becoming lower capacity. So she wanted to just hear a little bit of stats relative to that.
Sure, our big event that affected our water usage was a leak that we couldn't find for about 15 months. And it actually totaled a loss of about, compared to the previous year when we didn't have the leak, it was about 10 million gallons a month was leaking out of this, which is about 230 gallons a minute. And
That's the leak by the
Yes.
creek on the north side.
on Fifth Street. And we repaired that March 26th. And because Now, we didn't have a loss. We don't have a loss. We didn't need to send any creek water to town this year at all, which is usually the case. I'd say, for a while, I was saying we used creek water, sent it to town about once or twice every 10 years. And lately, because we've had more of a demand in leaks and such, we did have one, if you look back at, we had a low water year, 2019, where we used a creek, where it was. And keep in mind that 58 inches, a lot of people would love to have that much water, but we don't have any snow melt. We don't have any large river that we draw from, so we're dependent completely on our rainfall. If we go into summer, like we did this year, this was a really good summer for us, and that it started out, if you look at your chart, I know some of you don't have this, but you can find it on the city's website. The rainfall, this goes back to 1987 until it's current up till September. But the bottom column, bottom row is your monthly average. And we started out in December having this latest December having over the monthly average from December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So we went into summer with our aquifer charged up in it. So it's been a good season that way. We'll see what this is the beginning of our rain season, October to September. And we'll see what this month, so far we've got, this last night we had almost 0.6 inches of rain. So a good amount of rain. And it looks like it's going to keep going for the next week at least.
Okay.
Can you hold on one second? Doug, Amber, I texted you guys a picture of what we have.
Yeah, he's-
And so for anybody on Zoom, we're looking at the inches of rain in Cannon Beach. It's a chart that's kept on our city website. The public can access it and just watch our average rainfall monthly. And it goes all the way back to 1987. And Daniel keeps us updated on a rolling basis. So that's what we're looking at. Going back to our level of rainfall and where we currently stand opposed to our demand. And what our capacity is. It's my understanding that we're nowhere near our capacity as far as what our demand is calling for.
So when we had the leak, the 15-month leak, we were supplementing the spring water. I'd say just about half. We were sending about 200 and probably about 230, about what the leak was, it turns out. Of filtered water. So we pump about, I'd say we're about 300 feet is our intake from the plant. So like this year, we keep the sand filters ready for the season. Usually start up in May or June. And in case we need it, we're exercising it every year. We bring water in it, filter it, and send it right back to the creek. So that was the case this year as well. Yeah, I don't know what else to.
No, it's good.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's demand from town, but what I'm getting at is demand versus our overall capacity of what those three springs could give us if we were to call from that and what our water rights are.
Our water rights are 1.5
Yeah.
cubic feet per second, which translates into gallons, 673 gallons. So we use 230 of that with our leak. So we're, I think.
So if you guys recall when council and Bruce had asked for us to do a study on what our capacity gives the community versus what our demand on average is in our peak season, okay, summer. I think the report came back from the engineering firm saying at 2036, we would probably want to re-look at this again if we have implemented all of our master plans and or we decided to pull the trigger on affordable housing in some capacity to see how that would challenge what our demand is versus what our capacity is. But right now, we're not getting anywhere near what is available to us.
So glad we found the leak and fixed it.
Yeah, I mean, the leak was definitely adding to that, but even with the leak,
Yes.
we weren't getting anywhere near. The study was done during the time the leak was still flowing and we hadn't figured out where it was. So that's what I just wanted to reassure everybody, not that we should back off on our water conservation passion or get complacent about any of it because we don't know how climate change or anything else might challenge those three springs. But at this point, there's no flags giving us concerns of any kind. So, and Jan, I just want to make sure we get all your questions you had. Go ahead.
So I had a question on the water quality report.
Yeah.
And I don't understand these terms very well, but on the bottom of the first page, it has the TTHM, total trihalomethane numbers. And I just wondered, when I looked at 2022, we do this in July, 2023, 2024, like in 2022, that number, it says reported value was 11.1 ppb.
Yeah.
And then in the next year, 2023, it was 3.9 ppb, which this refers to the drinking water chlorination byproduct.
Yes.
And then this year, it went up to 30.1 ppb, and it always meets the regulation. I just wonder, 30.1 from last year, that was a big change from 3 to 30. So I'm just wondering what causes that fluctuation, and do we need to be any concerned about the 30 ppb?
And that's parts per billion. So it's really a pretty small, it changes every year, but you can see we're well below the maximum contaminant level. And what that is disinfection, which we use chlorine, how it reacts with what might be in the water. And because we have such clean water, it really, most systems, you put in a certain amount of chlorine and where you introduce it, it gets in and interacts with, say, the dirt in the water. And most cities have, work hard at filtering out that, and we don't have that because we're really not affected by, it could rain 6 inches in 6 hours and you wouldn't see, the water wouldn't be any dirtier because it's coming from an aquifer from deep water. So we're pretty fortunate that way that we have that. But no, I'd say that that doesn't raise any flags with me, that number, because it's such a small number. And we take that every year at the far end of our system. So it gives it time to interact the chlorine with what might be in the water. And we've always had good numbers.
Great,
Good.
thank you.
Any other questions for Daniel on the?
Amber, Doug, do you guys have any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
That number also has to do with the disinfectant interacting with biologic material
Right.
inside of the water. So what you're seeing is the residual, and that'll vary based on the amount of biologics that are in the water or contaminants that are in the water that are biological. So you have some residual, but it's very hard to get it exactly specific on. But as Daniel said, those parts per billion, they're minuscule. They're almost negligible.
Right.
So it's really nothing to worry about. It just means we're treating the water correctly, more or less.
That's why we take it at the farthest point where we can get a true test of what's happening in our system.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
parts per billion, so it's very
Parts
much.
per billion. It's kind of like a blood draw. We're okay.
All right, any other questions for Daniel? No? Going once?
Super,
going
buddy.
twice?
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Daniel.
Hey, Karen.
All right, I'll touch on Anita's question first about the activity along ocean between Washington and in our ordinance, it states that council's current desire is to not pave any more of our gravel streets. So unless we were having some sort of a standing water issue, flooding issue, something that was causing us infrastructure challenges, I'd have no reason to come to them and ask them to pave a street. If we had a situation like that, I would, and we have done that in the past, and they have approved that in the past. But it would only be to resolve some sort of an issue that we were having. And I don't see that to be the case. So currently, to answer Anita's questions, there are no plans to pave anything over in that area.
Good.
Okay. Project status, the bridge, we just awarded the bid that went out to public bid process to the structural engineer. And so Civil West is overseeing this project as part of their scope when we got the grant money. And so they will be working with the structural engineer as well as staff. The meetings will start next week. And they will officially start the evaluation of that bridge, if it can be retrofitted or if it has to be rebuilt. Okay. There's several bridges right now going on that are old historic bridges that are being rebuilt that we're watching. And now that I'm back at the office, I'm going to try to reach out to those cities and find out who the contractor is that's working on them, because they're actually rebuilding these bridges. And so even when I was traveling, I saw a few of them in Washington. So I'm going to try to find out just who that is. So if we find ourselves in that position, we can try to keep that as aesthetically original as possible. So I just kind of want to get ahead of it so that we're not panicking if that's what the result ends up being. I'm really hoping they tell us that that bridge can be retrofitted, make it a lot easier. So that's where we are with that.
Thank you.
Haystack Heights project is still being engineered. I don't imagine that we'll be constructing that until after the first of the year. We want to get it done. Our target completion is get it done before Easter break, because there's a lot of rental homes up there. And the goal on this initial phase of this is to get the pipe from the west side of the highway across up into Haystack Heights through those two private properties that gave us the easement and connect to our system, so we officially have it looped and have to move a hydrant in that process. The next phase of it will be to replace a water line on East Chinook and add another fire hydrant for fire coverage up there. If we have enough funds to do that all in one fell swoop, we can do it before the summer, we will, but I find that unlikely that we'd be able to get that kind of progress in that short period of time. So that's where we are with Haystack Heights. The restrooms, they're in progress. J.E. John has done a great job. They've had a lot of flack from the community that didn't really concern them at all. But they've taken it with grace, and I've been impressed with how they've handled things. We've had some challenges with the portables becoming overwhelmed. And so Trevor got several more portables, some hand washing stations out there, and he's increased the frequency of which Sweet Septic or Clean Sweep comes and services those. So now that we're getting into the rainy weather, we're hoping that settles down a little bit. To me, that situation just reiterates the need for that bathroom to be expanded. There's no doubt about the fact that this is a good project. So if we can just get through it, it'll be good. So that's where we are with that. Water resiliency phase 1, we have 2 of the 3 valves have arrived. So that's good news. We waited forever for those. The 3rd valve, which will go on the new tank, is still in process of being arrived here. Phase two, they've cleared the trees where the tank footprint will be up at the top of the hill there. Surveyors are starting this week to get their survey work done so that the engineering firm can complete the engineering of that phase of it. We had to put it on hold, not knowing if that easement was going to go through or not. So we still have a lot of engineering to go on that. Phase three, that's the engineering's in progress for that. So all in all, water resiliency, knock on wood, it's going really well. So.
Good.
And I think, I told you guys about the lead pipe inventory, talking about drinking water and things like that. The state has mandated that every municipality survey their entire inventory of lead pipe. Well, on our side of the fence, we don't have any lead pipe.
Good.
But what the state's asking us to do is to go a little bit further, which is on private property where we meet the private property owner. There is a section that could be lead. We have to evaluate that. And at some point, the homeowner will have to declare if they have lead pipes in their homes or not. So oftentimes when people call asking about drinking water, as you guys know, a lot of our homes here were built in the era where lead pipe would have been very common. And so as homes are remodeled or they're torn down on something new, our inventory has really shrunk. And so we had a mandate to get today 20% of our total inventory had to be turned into the state. And Daryl's worked really hard with OHA and a representative they sent out that is kind of in charge of the North Coast. And she helped us get the spreadsheet together, and Sean and Daryl's taken the lead on it. Sean's been very helpful to Daryl, and they've literally gone out and put eyes on every single one of these locations. So they had like 180 to meet the 20%, and they're in excess of 300 that they have already assessed, because eventually we'll have to do our total inventory. So they went ahead and just went for it, and they did a great job. It was a knuckle gripper to meet the 20%, but they actually exceeded it. So
I just want to say we have no lead pipe in our city infrastructure.
Fantastic.
We're talking about private property sites.
yeah,
Nothing in the city infrastructure is lead.
yeah, we have, that part of it was easy. If it was just our side of the house, we have documentation, we could have turned it in as soon as the state mandated it. They gave us a whole year
Yeah.
because they knew that there's no municipality that goes on private property. I mean, it's against everything that we do, but they were mandating that we coordinate that. And so it took a lot of undertaking to do it. They had
You know
to,
approximately the year that lead went out?
yeah, 1983, I think is what, 83 to 86, I think is where Daryl said the homes built in that time. And don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I think that that's the
Quite a few
key.
personal residents.
Yeah, so, and there's postcards that went out from the state to people that have homes in that were built in that, or that their records show. I mean, those things could have been torn down and a new house built since, but they were notified, and Daryl reached out to some folks because they had to coordinate. They had to excavate around some of our water meters to be able to get eyes on some of the stuff. So it was, we burned some overtime trying to get that project done to turn in today to meet our 20%. So there's penalties if you didn't do it. So it wasn't like you could just put it on the bottom of the list of everything they have already on their plate. So, but I think that's it. Trevor, I forget anything?
No, it's good.
Okay.
Got a lot going on.
Questions on any projects that you guys are hearing about or that I haven't updated, you're curious about? I try to keep you up to date. So if I miss something, don't hesitate to ask.
When is the restroom schedule be completed?
February.
Yeah, February, I think they'll probably beat that date. They're trying hard to. But yeah, our date in the contract was the end of February.
Okay.
Yeah, want to be well ahead of Easter break and get the landscape back in place and get our bench back in place and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're hustling. So.
Great.
Anyway,
Thank you. Any other questions? Amber, Doug? No? Okay, all right. So let's go to good of the order. Anything for the good of the order?
No, not for me.
We do have a wilderness medicine, October 26th for CERTS. MRC, so if you guys are interested, please contact me and we can sign you up. That's a
Beryl.
Okay.
Beryl.
yeah, the cash sites are, yes, we're opening on the 19th.
Yeah,
Right.
That was, it was.
I'll be up in I'll be in Oscar.
19th.
that's right. Good.
I'll bring the popcorn.
Yeah, so pass the word. We put the flyer on the city's Facebook page. Thank you today for that. So if anybody's asking if that's still going to go on in the interim of our new emergency manager arriving in November,
Here.
today's ensuring that it's happening and people can get to their barrels. So
Good.
pass the word for us, Jan.
Thank you guys and we see you next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You.
Very good.